Pep Talk UK, Pro Bs, once again, remember subscribe. And I'm delighted to be reunited once more with the man himself, former two-weight world champion, Mr. Paulie Malignaggi. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. As they say out in the States, it's been a hot minute since you were over in the UK. And yeah, how you been feeling, man? How's tricks?
I'm good. You know, things opening up a little bit here, so it's been good. I'm down in Florida where it's always been a little bit more opened up, so I've been you know, kind of doing my own thing, so it's been good.
Yeah. You know, you went viral with Corey B the other day. You know, we all saw what happened.
That was a wild scene, a wild moment. And I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with these YouTubers, TikTokers anymore, man. I don't know. I don't even know what to make of them anymore. Yeah. But I think they believe their own press clippings. They believe their own hype. And I think the Paul brothers have caused a movement that is going to wind up getting somebody hurt. It's going to wind up getting one of these guys hurt, man, I think, because you don't play boxing. You play other sports, but you don't play boxing. Yeah.
Definitely. I think matchmaking with a YouTuber against an ex-boxer or a boxer is a very important role. If that's where we're going in the future.
Yeah. It's just, it's what I'm saying is if you don't put in the proper work before you get in there like this, you're going to wind up getting somebody hurt, man, you know? I mean, you can kind of twinkle with the rules. I saw Mayweather did 12-ounce gloves instead of 8-ounce gloves. He did 8 rounds instead of 12. You can kind of tinker with the rules, but you still need somebody capable. You know, the Paul brothers have an opinion on them or you may, but at least they've got years of boxing in their back pocket. They've been doing this for years. You've got these run-of-the-mill, run-of-the-moment YouTubers now just kind of showing up. They started boxing yesterday, and they realized they have a following, so now they want to compete. And I don't know. I just feel like you don't play boxing. I would have loved to have got my hands on Corey before security got there. It definitely was disrespectful, but I also think that, you know, what am I going to do with this guy? What am I going to beat him up? I look like the bad guy. If I do an exhibition with him, I look like the bad guy. You know, how else are you gonna? How are you going to balance the scales out to where I don't hurt this guy? You know what I'm saying? Because I would hurt this guy, and I'd like to hurt this guy, but then I come out looking like a bad guy, and then it's always Paulie's a bad guy. You know, so you know, if I'll probably just leave it at if I ever catch him somewhere, I'll give him a nice smack and give him a reality check. You know.
Yeah, I heard on Chris Mannix's show you were saying that. Look, no problem, one hand, I'll beat that boy easily.
That's the thing. I mean, it's literally like I've won professional fights with one hand. I probably won my bare knuckle fight with one hand if it wasn't for the MMA judges having something against me. They were looking to put something against me because I always abuse them, their sport, their fans. So they were just looking for a reason to put something against me. But in reality, if you watch that fight, I mean, I easily probably won the fight with one hand. So, and I've won many other professional boxing matches with one hand. So, you know, I've beaten professional fighters with one hand. So this is legitimately a situation where I don't even have to hurt my right hand. I could tie my right hand behind my back, and I'd beat this guy up. I'd probably stop this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's that kind of thing where, you know, I might want to abuse him and I might want to embarrass him just for the sake of it and do it that way. Where then, okay, then it doesn't look like I'm tilting the scales against him. You know what? Okay, we'll do it. You really want it that bad because he wants it so bad, right? He's talking so bad. You want it that bad? Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll give you a fair shot. I'll make them tie my right hand behind my back. You know, I would have done this with McGregor too, mind you. You know what I'm saying? Like he never actually went for it. You know, but I would have tied my hand behind my back, and we can go one hand. You know what I'm saying, and see where we go from here. You know, so it's pretty. I still stand by that. Maybe even with Corey, but I don't know. It's just. Is it a waste of my time? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I guess I'll have to see. You know, I don't know. I'll see how it plays out. But in the moment, over the weekend, yeah, sure. I wanted to put him through the gateway. You know what I mean? Through the fence. You know. But now I think about it, I'm like, oh, this is just so annoying, man. You know, like it's so annoying. But we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what goes on, man. Because if he still keeps getting on my nerves, I might just do that. If he keeps getting on my nerves, I might just, you know, go for the one-handed fiasco and just hit him with triple, quadruple, quintuple hooks just for the sake of it. You know what I'm saying? Like Roy, I'll look like Roy Jones with him.
Do you know what? It's crazy at the moment because promoters, okay, we're in a different age now. You know, social media followings, the traction that you have online in terms of views, is kind of like part of the criteria right now. You know, matchmaking and for headlining a show, which is, man, I'm trying to get with the program, but you know, if you remember the Wu-Tang song, yeah, Cream, cash rules everything around me.
Bills, y'all. Yeah.
Promoters, they be singing that right now.
Yeah, I know. It's all about money, and it's not just the promoters. It's these YouTubers and the networks too. The networks are just buying into it. People fall for it. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird generation. I always say it's the dumbest generation humanity's ever produced, and they keep proving me right when they make these kind of things popular. You know, what are we gonna do?
You mentioned Jake Paul, right? He's fighting Tyron Woodley. Now, we mentioned matchmaking just before. Tyron Woodley ain't really no joke like that. You know, I think that itself, would that be the first fight where Jake Paul really?
I mean, he's a step up, but Jake clearly has some good people behind him. You know, because this is a calculated step up nonetheless. He's better than Ben Askren. I mean, Ben Askren was a waste. It was obvious he was a waste even before the fight. I mean, anybody with a brain knew that guy was a waste. I was telling, it's funny. I was abusing him before the fight, and a bunch of UFC guys, fighters, got mad at me for abusing him. But I didn't see one of them come to his defense afterwards. They were more ashamed of him than I was. I was at least ahead of the curve and saying, "Yo, this guy's gonna embarrass your sport. He's gonna go get himself knocked out by Jake Paul." You know what I mean? And sure enough, he did. But all the guys that were defending him before that, they were quiet as a mouse afterwards. You know, they didn't want to get his back afterwards. You know, like at least have a backbone. If you're gonna stick with one side, stay with that side through thick and thin, right? Like I told you he was gonna get abused, and I stayed with that, right? But anybody that got Ben Askren's back, I didn't see anybody open their mouth afterwards. All of them, no backbone, all of them cowards. You know what I mean? If you got Ben Askren's back before the fight, you got to get Ben Askren's back after the fight too. I told you he sucked before the fight, so I can tell you he sucked after the fight too. You know, you stick with your guns. It's a matter of principle. Nobody has any anymore. But with Tyron Woodley, yeah, he's a step up. But the issue with Tyron Woodley is I don't think he was ever really a combination puncher. He's better striker than Askren. I mean, Askren was not a striker at all. Askren would lose a slap boxing match with anybody, you know, let alone a boxing match. But Tyron Woodley probably is a better striker than Askren. Anybody is. You probably are a better striker than Askren. Tell you the truth, anybody is. But it's a reality. Woodley still is a better striker, but he's never been that combination kind of puncher. At least not that I've noticed, you know. So it's a step up, but you got to be consistent. You got to be able to consistently put yourself in that combination punching balance and put yourself in that situation. I think it's a step up. I think it's a progression, and it'll be interesting. But I still would be surprised if Jake doesn't win the fight.
Where do you stand on this? Is YouTubers in boxing, does it bring more fans to the sport, or will it eventually ruin the sport?
I think it brings more fans to the sport, but I don't think it brings more fans to the main side of the sport. I think it's because it's creating a niche group. You know, I don't think the fans that watch YouTube boxing are going to watch Wilder versus Fury versus Wilder. Yeah. I don't think that. You know, so I think it's creating a minor league, sort of a league championship type of series. And it's like as if everybody decided to watch the league championship and not watch the premiership. You know what I mean? The Premier League. You know, it's like
a European Super League.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I'm like, well, the European Super League is different because, you know, they in some ways it's the same in that, you know, it's the money teams just qualified for it just because they got money and not because they were actually good. Because, you know, Milan, Arsenal, teams like that. I mean, Milan qualified for next year's Champions League, but they hadn't been in the Champions League in years. And Arsenal is not anything and not deserving of anything aside from the fact that they're a London rich team. So I never agreed with the Super League. But with this particular situation, it's like these guys, their skill level is the level of, say, the league championship, even lower than that, you know? And then they're getting more viewership. Just picture the league championship getting more viewership and more sponsors than the Premier League. You know what I mean? That's basically what it's gotten to at this point. You know, it's gotten to the point where, you know, you have subpar level of boxing, but more people want to watch that subpar level of boxing. because they, they do more cooler things outside the ring. They have a YouTube following. I don't even know what these guys do anymore. What do they do? I'm so out of touch with this generation. I mean, I'm glad I'm out of touch with this generation. But what do they do? How do you get popular on YouTube? What do you do? Just record yourself driving your car, playing video games? What do you do? Who can, bro, I stopped watching my uncles play video games when I was like 7, 8 years old. It was cool. When my uncle first got like Nintendo and I was a kid, I couldn't reach those like levels. I couldn't reach certain levels, because I was a kid. I wasn't good enough at the games. So I used to watch my uncle who was like 14, 15. He used to get to the levels that I couldn't get to. And I wanted to see what those levels looked like, because I wasn't good enough. So I'd watch him and his friends play video games. But you grow out of that. You grow out of that like 7, 8, 9 years old. You got full-blown teenagers today watching other teenagers on YouTube playing video games, bro. You got a generation so stupid that you have to be that stupid to even understand them. So therefore, I can never understand them. So therefore, this YouTube following, it's beyond me. It's beyond me even, how they, how it got there. Not to hate on them, because I wish success on everybody. I wish everybody could be that successful. But it's just a strange thing when then they can just branch off into boxing and just get more of a following in boxing than guys who are legitimately have world-class talent, just a supreme level of talent, and don't get that kind of viewership. It's the weirdest thing,
All right. Well, you know what? 2019, you delved into bare knuckle boxing against Lobov, and a couple years later, you're part of BYB Extreme bare knuckle boxing.
I started working as an analyst with BYB Extreme bare knuckle fighting, and bare knuckle boxing is sort of a new sport still. It was gone for 100 years. BKFC brought it back, and they've done very well. With the success of BKFC, we're seeing other promotions open up, and BYB gave me a really interesting opportunity because it's a fledgling new company, and I believe it's going to become the most exciting brand in reality. And they got a different kind of ring. Right now they're experimenting with what kind of rings they got to use. If anybody saw my bare knuckle fight, it was a kind of a circle, right? The BYB promotion uses a trigon. Now a trigon is 3 corners. It's a triangle. It is the smallest space in professional combat sports. You have nowhere to go. There's no space for ring generalship. If you take a step or two back, you're going to wind up in one of the 3 corners. And being in a corner in a trigon, it's triangle shaped. It's harder to get off those ropes because the ropes kind of close in on you. They're very close to you. So the only way you get out of the corner, if you're stuck in any of the corners in a trigon, is you got to fight your way out of there. So it forces a lot of contact. It forces a lot of engagement. And fortunately for the fans, and unfortunately for whoever's in there, it forces a lot of chaos, because you take a step or two back and suddenly you find yourself in one of those corners, So I found it very, very exciting. Sure, it's bloody, but I always remind people that bare knuckle fighting is safer because you can't load punches the same way you could with professional boxing gloves. The thing about professional boxing gloves is there's enough padding to pad your hands up to load up shot after shot after shot, but not enough padding to protect the guy that you are hitting because the gloves are so small. The thing about bare knuckle fighting is you load up shot after shot with bare knuckle fighting and you're going to have no hands left. So it's going to prevent, and even my experience told me this and showed me this, it's going to prevent guys from continuously landing heavy artillery to the head and body, So you've got to pick your spots. You got to keep the fights short. And I think that ultimately prevents a lot of traumatic brain injury and a lot of traumatic deaths, And I think for that reason, it's safer. But the best part is bare knuckle fighting is very bloody, So for the fans, they get the illusion that it's more violent because bare knuckles, each knuckle is like a razor blade. You don't even have to land clean. If you just skim somebody with a knuckle, it'll skim them the right way. It'll open up a cut. So the blood will give the illusion that this is a very vicious, almost inhumane type of fighting. But in reality, if you get past the blood, which is just blood at the end of the day, it's sealed. You seal it up with stitches. It's very safe. So it creates excitement. The blood creates excitement. It creates in the fight. It creates a bunch of excitement. But at the end of the day, both guys are going to wind up. Sure, you're going to wind up with more stitches, but you're going to hold home with your family that night, and you're going to be okay. And you can get paid for it too.
Tell us about the event, July the 16th.
July the 16th is the second event I'm working with BYB. The first one had all knockouts. Literally, it ended in all knockouts. And Dada 5000, who's the rep for the company, Dada 5000, everybody remembers him, had one of the most exciting MMA fights in history. He fought Kimbo Slice. He came up short.
R.I.P. Kimbo.
Yeah. So Dada is a entrepreneurial type of guy, and he got involved with BYB. And I had some conversations with him as well. He tried to get me to fight in it, and there's no shot that I'm fighting the BYB. I'm done. But nonetheless, Dada is sort of the face of the company, and Mike Vasquez is the president of the company. He's got a real vision for it. Dada is the face of the company, and he's well spoken. And despite having had a crazy fighting career, Dada is actually a good face for the company. He knows how to engage. He's engaging. He's charismatic, and for me, it was exciting to be part of it and to be able to not only announce and be an analyst for the fights, because you can still take a lot of analyzing just as you can in boxing. Bare knuckle fighting is very similar to boxing, but there's subtle differences that I can relate to because I've fought in it. And like I said, it is the most exciting form of combat sports for me, because you don't have a chance to lay on the ground and kill time that way. There's not enough time to be tactical like some long boxing matches. There's not enough time. You're not allowed to lay on the ground like a lot of MMA fights, which don't end up having any strike and they lay on top of each other. BYB is the most exciting brand of bare knuckle boxing in the most exciting combat sport for me, which is bare knuckle boxing at this point. And that's not to downgrade MMA and boxing, which are exciting in their own rights. I mean, the old school in me still can't get over a terrific fight and a terrific boxing match. You'll always fall in love with it, but BYB is straight up bloodshed and attack-minded fighting. It forces it. You can't play a tactical fight in BYB because you just don't have enough space, and you're gonna wind up getting wind up having to engage. There's not enough space to move and be a ring general in there. But you can, if you got your hand skills and you're enthusiastic enough in there, you're gonna have success. As long as you don't hurt your hands like I did it when I fought my bare knuckle fight. But for me, it's exciting, and I look forward to the July 16th show. The first one was a lot of excitement, a lot of knockouts, and I look forward to the same. We're going to be in the Hard Rock Seminole Casino in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
How can people watch the event?
The first one we were on was on the website. Man, I wish I could remember it now. It was on the website. I don't remember it now. We may get a deal maybe with Fight TV or something too. Who knows? But look up BYB. If anybody wants to look up BYB bare knuckle, and you'll probably get the website BYB bare. If you look up on your search engine BYB bare knuckle, we had a website where you could order the fights. I think it's going to keep growing. Mike Vasquez, the promoter, is talking to a couple of TV networks as well. So I look forward to seeing the progression of it and seeing where it goes.
All right.
And being a part of it as well, being a part of that growth.
100%, man. It's going to be very interesting in the future. Going to be because again, UFC's taken off like a rocket.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting some massive fights there. I mean, I'm not really a big UFC fan, but I know certain names in Ngannou, John Jones. I know these guys, right?
Yeah. Adesanya.
Usman, yeah, Adesanya. They've made big stars. And the boxing guys like ourselves, we're looking over saying, hold on, these guys are fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are fighting each other. And it's becoming a problem in boxing where the big fights are just not happening. They're just not happening. But one big fight to kind of conclude that is happening, July 24th.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. We had the presser only the other night. What did you make of it? Rather peculiar.
I thought it was peculiar and interesting at the same time. Wilder has been talking a lot, and then he gets to the promotion, the press conference, and he doesn't talk at all. And here's the thing, in my experience, because I was a big trash talker in my career, it always is easier to trash talk when the person's not in front of you, not in the same room. It's always a little bit more difficult to summon up the nerve and the bravery to talk that same trash when they're in the room. So I made it a principle basis of mine that if I was going to be a trash talker, I had to make sure I had a backbone and also did it in front of the person and not just when I did interviews when the person wasn't around me. Otherwise, I felt like I'm psychologically giving in to my opponent. You know, if I talk all this stuff, but then when I'm in the same room with him, I don't have the guts to say it when he can hear it face to face or in the same room with me. And although Deontay tried to play it like he was too cool for the media and too cool for everybody, I found it telling because you got run over your last fight. It ain't like you lost. You got run over like a train runs over a corpse, you know? So I felt like Deontay, I was looking forward to seeing what he had to say because he really had a lot to say in all this time. Whether you agree with him or not, personally, I disagree, but nonetheless, if you have the guts to say that right in the presence of Fury, you know what? You double down on the fact that you believe in yourself. You double down on the fact that you are in this for a reason that you're going to win this fight, and you believe that yourself. But when he showed up and couldn't talk after saying all that, I feel like he was just trying to cover up the fact that he's intimidated. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. Did he go and fight? Did he go and bring this to arbitration for the payday? I mean, sure. I mean, you ask most people in the street, they'll take a $20 million payday for a beating, right? I mean, you say, would you ever hear the expression, would you fight Mike Tyson for $10 million? Yeah, I get it with Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Like, so is Deontay taking that approach where you're like, you know, because I really felt like he was going to come to the presser enthusiastic and double down on himself. He had me fooled. I really thought he believed in himself. I thought he was crazy, but I really thought he believed in himself. I really did. And even in the fact that I felt like he was in denial in doing so. But he didn't say a word yesterday. He was quiet as a mouse yesterday. And that, for me, was very, very telling because you had to face the guy that ran you over last time. Literally ran you over. I mean, he ran you over. There's no two ways about it. So I felt like that was your chance to now show up in his presence and say, you know what? I'm a man. I'm here. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell it to you. I'm going to everything I've been saying, now I'm going to tell it to you the way I feel. And instead he didn't do that. So for me, it was telling in that way, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Deontay Wilder did some press today, and he said that the reason why he didn't say anything was because he didn't want to be part of the circus before the fight. He wanted to show Fury that he meant business. Did he go about that the right way, do you think? Or
I think Deontay Wilder always means business. I mean, did we ever mistake Deontay Wilder for not meaning business in all the other times he fought, all the other press conferences, every single career fight he's had to this point? I don't think anybody would have ever mistaken Deontay Wilder for not meaning business prior to this. Like I say, oh, you know what? He never meant business before, but now he means business. What does that even mean? You always meant business. You got your knockout wins. You did what you did. You talked the way you talked. And for me, I guess I'm assuming for you too, he always meant business. So it's not like, I don't know. So what is this like? Oh, and I meant business this time. What do you mean? The other times you didn't mean business? I don't know. You always come off like you meant business. What is this, like a new Deontay Wilder? Which then makes you fall into the ploy of what Tyson Fury said. I'm going to tell him what I did. I was telling him what I was going to do to him last time because he doesn't have the ability to adjust. I'm going to tell him again. And I feel the same exact way. Deontay Wilder can't fight going backwards. There's no two ways about it. They can teach him all the combinations they want. They can teach him any way to fight. Tyson's going to show up and back him up. Not back. And what I mean by Deontay Wilder not being able to fight backwards, a couple people told me, oh, he knocked out Ortiz going back. He knocked out Stoker going back. That's a step back counter. That's a step back shot. I'm talking about when you're consistently backed up to where your own momentum is consistently going backwards. The momentum of your body, the momentum of the fight is taking you backwards. You no longer can gain the confidence. Some fighters have that. Some very, very good fighters have that deficiency, honestly. Zab Judah had that deficiency. That's why I fought him differently than I ever fought anybody else. Julio Cesar Chavez had that deficiency as well. You backed him up, he couldn't fight. So it's not like it's a deficiency of a subpar fighter. Some very, very good world-class greats had that deficiency. So, it's not like a knock if you have that deficiency, but it's a deficiency nonetheless. And once you have it, I don't think you can correct it. So all this stuff, the fact that he didn't talk from me shows that I think even Deontay knows he has that deficiency, and it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to be a problem. But, I mean, whatever. You reap what you sow, as they say.
Finally, he says that, Wilder's dismissed Tyson Fury's power and said that he couldn't knock me out last time. What do you make of that statement?
I mean, like I said, I think that he has to convince himself in a lot of ways. And I would believe all of this had he said that in front of Fury. I would believe that he believes this. Because before yesterday's press conference, I believe that Deontay believed all this. I believe that it was in denial. I didn't agree with him, but I said, you know what? He needs to think like this. And I believe he's doing the right thing by thinking like this, going into a fight, because he has to think like this. Now, even if I think he's wrong, you don't approach a fight in any other way except with confidence. So I said, you know what? Even if I think he's crazy, he's actually right in approaching it this way. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. But if he really, really believed it, he would have said that in Tyson Fury's face yesterday. He would have said that with Tyson Fury in the room yesterday. He would have said that so Tyson Fury could hear him yesterday. And he did none of the above. So it's made me realize Deontay doesn't actually believe that. He's still trying to convince himself, and he's hoping to convince himself by fight night that he can do this. And he's hoping every single day in the gym can bring him some confidence more than he did the day before, enough so when he reaches fight night, he can have the confidence to maybe take into the ring and hopefully translates into success. But I think he's going day by day and hoping that comes. And yesterday's press conference showed me that that confidence is not there. Because the biggest thing of all is facing your conqueror and being in the room and telling him, and so he can hear you with his own ears. Nah. It's like this and like this. You can't knock me out. You couldn't knock me out. Whatever it is, you got to say it. You have to say. You have to stand up and say it to the man's ears. You got to say that with your chest out. You don't say it with your chest out to the reporters in the media on the phone, on the internet, and then when the guy's in your face, you suddenly quiet as a mouse. You can't do that. You just can't do that. That's just pure fighting psychology. You can't do that.
All right. Well, we look forward to July 24th. Wow, it's going to be a lot of animosity. Yeah. It's going to be action-packed. And we'd like to thank the man himself, Mr. Paulie Malignaggi, for your time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, man. All right. Good talking to you, man. Get some rest.
Pep talk. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.